Welcome to Beautifully Ruined, the podcast where we believe that being beautifully ruined isn't the end, but the beginning of a remarkable journey. I'm your host, AD Calagon, and guys, we have made it to episode number 15. And today, guys, I just really wanted you to know that you are worth the time. You are worth the energy. You are worth the money. You are worth the risk. And I just want you to say that again with me. I am worth the time. I am worth the money. I am worth the risk. I am worth it all, right? And I find it so interesting that most of us, you and I both, right? We work on a job a minimum 40 hours a week for a check that we get maybe weekly or bi-weekly. And bi-weekly, you do a minimum of 80 hours. We trade in that time. We trade in the risks that are associated with us getting to work, coming home from work, the things that we have to do for work, whether you be a law enforcement officer or you work at a desk, or whether you work at IHOP or you're a trash man. Whatever it is, there's some type of associated risk that we take and time that we put in to get that check that we get at the end of that 40 hour week or 80 hour 2 weeks, right? And what I do know is whatever you spend your time, whatever you spend your money on is what you value. And more importantly, the one thing that you can never get back is your time. We can make money over and over and over again, right? A million different ways we can make money, but you can never get your time back. So I'm just wondering, if we trade in our time and we risk a number of things just to put in that time to get that little check every 2 weeks, to get that check every week, right? Why is it that when we get that check and maybe we pay our bills, maybe you don't pay your bills. Hey, I've been there too, right? But after we pay our bills, we use basically our time, because that money is basically our time. We use our time to, let's say, buy some new shoes. Maybe you need some new shoes, right? But let's say you have 15 pair of shoes already, and you just got to have those new Jordans. So you go pay $200-$300 for those Jordans, right? You go buy a whole new outfit, right? And you go to the liquor store, you go get you a bottle or two, right? And maybe you smoke, you go get you something to smoke, right? You play that lotto ticket that you've been playing every day. You buy a number of them. Maybe you go to the casino, whatever it is that you do, right? And you get all dressed up, you feel good about yourself for that moment, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna go to the club on top of that, right? So you go to the club, you pay for a section, you get that bottle that come with that section, you order another bottle on top of that, right? And you do all this, right? Because it's gonna make you feel good. People are gonna think you're important. People are gonna think you're somebody because you have that section. You are looking good. You got the latest Jordans on. You got the latest outfit on. And nobody could tell you nothing. Y'all have bottles coming after bottles. And mind you, these bottles are a minimum $200, $300, $400. Just coming, right? And at the end of the night, when you're basically out of your mind, wasted, right? Maybe you go home with somebody, maybe you got somebody at home. I don't know, your preference, right? And you get home and you go to sleep and you wake up and you don't even remember half the stuff you did the last night, right? You don't know where your car keys at. You don't even know where half your outfit is missing. You don't even know. You're looking for everything. You're out of it. Now you're having to recuperate. And you go and you check your bank statement. You're afraid to check it, but you say, oh, I'm just going to check online. Let me just see. And some of us won't even check because we know that we know. And we already know that come Monday, we're going to have to call and say, hey, I don't know what happened to that card. I didn't have that card. I need to cancel this. I need to cancel that. I need to move this around, move that around. But when you build up the confidence, right, to literally open that phone and go check your balance statement, instead of having $1,500, shoot, you may only have $150. And if you anything like me, you'd have been in some situations where you negative. And you're like, how in the world did I get negative? Like literally a day before I had $1,500, $2,000. And now I'm in the negative. I don't even know where I spent my money on. I don't know who I was buying drinks for. I don't know what club I went to or what I decided to do after. What was I thinking, right? And you say, Lord, I'll never do it again. I'll never drink again. I'll never do that again. But what ends up happening is you go back to work, them 40 hours a week. You eating ramen noodles, you doing whatever, getting payday loan, whatever you gotta do to make it through, right? Going to the pawn shop, you name it, right? And you go back to work and you put in those 40 hours. You do those 80 hours. And you're toiling, and then here comes that next payday. What do? Oh, I need to feel good. I've been working so hard, I need to reward myself. So what do? You rinse, recycle, repeat. You do this very same thing, maybe not in such a drastic way, maybe a little bit less of a way. You say, oh, I'm gonna think it out this time. I'm gonna have a budget. But you do it over again, right? And let's say if you don't even do that, right? Let's just say if you somebody like my aunties or some of my uncles, right? No matter if they've had a job or been a job, without a job, if their health was failing, no matter what, they would spend money every day on lotto tickets, right? Or some type of gambling mechanism to where they just knew they was gonna hit that big jackpot. They just knew they was gonna hit that big lick, right? And they did it no matter what, no matter if it's rain, sleet, snow, no matter their financial situation. If they didn't have no money, they was gonna figure out a way that they was gonna get some money to go pay the numbers. I don't care if they had to ask whoever, they was gonna figure out a way to do it. And I have people that I know that weren't just like that for lotto or whatever, or trying to play some type of gambling system. They're like that about getting their alcohol. They're like that about getting something to smoke, something to get that instant gratification. They will do whatever to get that money to do it, right? So I've just been wondering that why is it that those same people, and trust me, y'all, I know them, I've been one of them, and we all know who they are. They may even be you, right? You complain about your health. You complain about being overweight. You complain, let's say about your teeth. You complain about where you live. You complain about your job. You complain about your car. You complain about your spouse. But the reality of it is that 9 times out of 10, all the things that you complain about, right, were once your choices that you made. Like, you made the decision to move to those apartments. You made the decision to work at that job, stay at that job. You made the decision to not fix your teeth. You made the decision to overeat or eat junk food or eat whatever. You made the decision to overindulge in alcohol, overindulge in smoking, and maybe that's why your health bad. You made the decision that you're literally unhealthy about. And if we were to really be honest, right, what we spend time on, what we spend money on is what we value. So out of all the things that I listed before, people spend money on trying to look good, trying to look important, trying to get rich, trying to feel good instantly, right? They spend money on all this, money that they have traded their time in for, right? One way or another. Hard working, they have risked everything to get this money, and they've spent it all on these things. But when it comes to their health, eating good, it costs too much money to buy, non-GMO food or whatever. It costs too much money to eat healthy. It costs too much money to pay for a gym membership. I'm gonna have to think about it. It costs too much money to get a trainer. Oh, I can't afford that. It costs too much money to set aside $200 or $300 a month or per paycheck, right? It's just too much. I can't afford that. It costs too much money to save up for that new home. It costs too much money to pay $150 more than what they're paying for at that apartment to pay for a nice apartment, right? It costs too much money to basically make yourself happy in the long term. It costs too much money to invest in yourself, your health, your wealth, your financial stability. But it didn't cost too much money to do all the above that was going to keep you in that rat race, keep you on just going circle and circle and circle and circle and circle and circle, and keep you in an unhappy state of mind, right? And when being in an unhappy state of mind, it's like a ripple effect, right? You know, we're wasting time, we're wasting money, we're wasting all these things. And before we know it, time is up. And we have lived an unfulfilled life. And we've made everybody around us miserable too. Because why? All our time that we're around them, we're just complaining. We're complaining about all the things that we refuse to do the work for, that we refuse to invest in, that we refuse to set aside to make sure that we're okay, that we refuse to think about our futures and our well-being, right? And I just wanted to let you know, guys, here, you know, it's time that we shift our mindset. It's time that instead of going out buying that extra bottle, maybe you only buy one bottle. And what you would have had paid for that other bottle, whether it be $100 or $200, you take a portion of that and you invest it into, you know, you losing weight. You invested into, you know, you saving money. You invested into some type of retirement, right? You invested into you purchasing that new home, right? And, you know, I understand, you know, we can only do what we have, right? We can only do what we have and what we have and what we know, right? But we can make small increments, right? And these small increments build up. Just think about it. All that money that you've literally been wasting on things that aren't really truly making you happy for the long run. Had you taken a portion of that and invested that money, that time, that energy, took the risk on you, your dreams, your goals, the things that you truly want, the things that you know will make you happy, imagine where you would be today. Imagine where you could be 5 years from now. If you decided that, you know what, I don't have to be a millionaire. I just have to do right by what I have. And if I do right by what I have, maybe it's only a matter of time before I'm a millionaire. Maybe it's a matter of time before, you know, I get my health right. Maybe it's a matter of time before, you know, I get the house, the car, whatever it is that you want, right? And I just want you guys to know that you're worth the time, you're worth the money, you're worth the risk. And let's start today. Let's make that change. Until next time, thank you.